This morning, a judge ruled the federal government cannot block SNAP benefits from being used to buy candy, soda, or other sugary drinks. The ruling impacts new restrictions that have already started in at least 10 states and are planned in several others. Connecticut is not one of those. The judge ruled the government did not have the authority to approve waivers restricting how SNAP benefits are used. No word on whether the Trump administration plans to appeal.